Hi, friends, and welcome back to another installment of The Science of Music. Today, we will learn about sound waves so that you can understand how they are defined and how we experience them in everyday life. You know you have it when you can connect the science of how we hear to sound waves or what we're actually hearing. For class today, you will need some paper or a Google Doc or your phone for the warm-up, as well as the sound wave handout, which was from Monday's email. So let's get started. Today we have a warm-up, and on our screen we see this really cool chart, right? And there's this awesome super squiggly purple line, and there's this super squiggly blue line, and green, and an orange, and a red. So what are our warm-up today is this question: what are you observing, and what do you think this means? So for example, you can talk about the colors and what you think the colors mean. You can talk about how spread out the line is in comparison to like this purple one where the lines are super close together. And you can talk about what this means, and you can talk about anything that you are observing off of this graph. So take 2 minutes, pause the video, and write down your thoughts. Great job. Hold on to your answers, because by the time that this video is done, you should be able to find the conclusion if your predictions were correct. So to start today, we are going to look at some sound waves. And we have to identify what a sound wave is. So a sound wave exists as variations of pressure in a medium such as air. They are created by vibrations of an object which cause the air surrounding it to vibrate. The vibrating air then causes the human eardrum, which from our last video we learned that the vibrations will funnel in through our ear and it'll disrupt our eardrum. Will cause that to vibrate, which then makes our brain interpret it as sound. So what's really cool is there are the graphs like we saw here that will be indicators of sound waves, but we also have these types of graphs to indicate sound waves. And this one right here where my cursor is, that's more of the one that we saw with a standard, similar to this one. However, we do have these kinds of sound waves, which you've probably seen before, similar to this one and some of these. So write down if you've seen any of these sound waves and where you've seen them. Take a minute. Great job. So these are just different types of graphs that scientists use to show sound waves. And sound waves travel through air in much with similar ways that water waves travel through water. So it's actually easier to understand how sound waves work if you think about when you throw a pebble into the water and you see all those awesome ripples. That's kind of what sound waves are like. So we're going to watch this super short clip, and it'll show you how you can see some vibrations with a tuning fork. So this clip right here that we're about to watch is going to show us how using a tuning fork, which is these kinds of instruments right here on our screen, can show us sound waves through their vibration.
Begin.
So on our screen, it says the resonant sound was so soft we needed to hold the tuning fork next to the microphone to pick it up. So it was because of the way that the tuning fork was vibrating, and like the types of metals that it's made out of and so on and so forth, that caused the pitch to change. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch the video again, and I want you to write down on your piece of paper some things that you're observing.
Let's begin.
notice how the entire time that the tuning fork was being used, that we were not, that the pitch wasn't really changing. So if we were to show on a graph, I'll show you. If I were to show you on a graph, this will be our constant, what that pitch looked like when, we'll start from over here, when we immediately struck the rubber, the pitch started, right? So we'll start from here. And what it was doing the whole time was it was changing kind of something like that. And it was vibrating, and it was vibrating, and it was vibrating. And as we get smaller, it just shows that the vibration had stopped because the pitch was no longer. So similar to what I just drew for you, we have to graph sound waves. So sound waves can also be shown in a standard XY graph, which is something like this. So we have our X of our distance, and we have our Y of our pressure, which is like the air pressure. So like how the sound will move through the air and then create our awesome wave. This allows us to visualize and work with waves from a mathematical point of view. So if you really like this, you can check out some of Matt's videos on like math and the graphing and stuff, and it'll really help. It could really help you with the graphing there too. And it results in these kind of, and like graphing it this way shows us like these waveforms. So you see how this kind of looks like a beach wave, and how we drew like a beach wave. That's pretty awesome, right? And it just represents the tone and the frequency that we hear. And we're going to cover frequency in a later video. You will have heard this noise being used as a test or an identification signal. So that note that was playing, that's what you actually heard. But you're graphing the different ways that you heard it and how it felt, how it vibrated through your ear canal, and how it vibrated through the air and through the air pressure. So what also is really cool is that you can do it by like voltage and time, and there's just so many different variables that you can use when you're graphing sound waves. So this chart is going to really help us when we get into our activity. So the quieter that the sound is, the closer to our constant that the wave will be. But the louder that it is, the farther away it's going to be from the bottom of our graph. But if we have a really, really deep pitch, it's going to be a lot longer, and it's going to still be pretty close to the graph because deep pitches are considered to be quieter. However, if we have a really, 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 really high pitch, it's going to be a lot longer, and it's going to be a lot closer together for our wavelengths. So what we're going to do is, based off of this activity, we have our sound wave activity worksheet. We have our sound wave activity sheet, and we have these pretty awesome highlighted areas. So what I want you to do is in these blue section, I'm going to play some pitches for you. What I would like you to do is in these blue sections, I want you to write if it's a high pitch or a low pitch. And then connecting back to our ear video, which if you haven't watched it, please make sure you watch it. We're going to write if our cochlea hairs would be stimulated. So remember, if it's a high pitch, it would be stimulated. If it's a low pitch, it wouldn't be stimulated. And then in these little boxes, I would like you guys to draw a graph and draw how the sound wave would move. So I'm going to leave the chart up of the quiet, the loud, the deep, and the high, so you have a little bit of a example. And then we're going to start playing some pitches. So remember, this will be our chart that you will be using to guide you in creating your sound waves. So here go our pitches. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. Number 6. Number 7. And last but not least, number 8. Great job. So for homework tonight, um, I would like it if you sent me pictures of your sound wave activity sheet so I can see what you guys did, see how you guys are doing, and I would also like it if you tried doing the sound waves at home. So see if you can play a pitch, or if you and your friend, you and your sibling, you and your parent guardian can sing pitches back and forth, and see if you can write your own sound waves. Make sure that you write what kind of pitch it was and if it stimulated your cochlea hairs. And I will see you guys on the next one.